Star Wars Rebel Assault 2: The Hidden Empire was a unique concept when it released in the world in 1995 on PC and later in 1996 on the PlayStation, that would expand upon the iconic Star Wars universe, that would see a completely new and original story, with Darth Vader beginning development of a new secret weapon for the Galactic Empire, while also trying to use it as a means to destroy the Rebel Alliance. So this leads to the backdrop of the story and how it plays out. So this in turn leads to a variety of different scenarios in which you play as part of a Rebel Assault squad with the aim to overturn and destroy this newfound weapon. And the game plays in almost a movie and cinematic style, where you interact with different environments through cinematic sequences, both from an on-rail shooter, flight and even gunplay kind of perspectives, where in some levels you can be flying a ship to avoid various obstacles to get from point A to point B, while in others you can be flying around the solar system trying to dispatch and destroy enemies by shooting at them, almost like in a rail shooter style aesthetic, where you end up even going into different environments on board ships or planets where you play as one of the characters that's progressing the story, and your job is to eliminate any of the enemies or the stormtroopers that are within the vicinity. And you'll use this through obviously movie cinematic style quality events where you hide behind walls or boxes and you will peer out every so often with your gun in hand, and your job then is to use the cursor on screen to navigate and place your shots carefully in order to dispatch any enemies that come into view, and this in turn will progress through the story onto the next section. So the game is compiled on 2 discs which tells all of the original story in its entirety, and it's very detailed in how it presents itself, and for a game of this calibre to be released on consoles was truly a revelation back in its day, as again it was a completely original story that ties in with the Star Wars universe. But it was released at a time when many other games similar to this were also a highlight reel on early 3D systems, while many games were using the likes of digitized characters and environments to play it almost in a movie style sequence that gave a sense of reality to the overall experience and presented you with familiar faces and scenes that you would have seen from your favourite TV shows or movies. And this game here is no different to that in many respects, and these attributes resulted in the game seeing commercial success overall. And as we all know, Star Wars is a massive franchise, one of the biggest movie franchises ever, so it was no surprise that the game would gross high numbers in terms of sales and copies being sold both on the PC and on the PlayStation alike. And for its time it was a visual masterpiece in how it was represented, with its movie style quality, even down to the voice acting, the use of familiar characters, scenes, even the portrayal of some of the ships having Darth Vader in the sequences, along with some of the many elements with the likes of the weapons, even some familiar points that were seen in the movies as well. So it managed to capitalise on all of those traits to appeal to fans of the long going series. This is one of the games of this kind that managed to nail it in terms of its character portrayal and how it presented itself, that felt more like an actual sequel more than a spin-off to the game, but at the same time gave the player the interaction and allowed you to be in control of how things would dictate as you get into it, which made the entire experience a lot more interactive overall. Now, it's not to say that the game is easy. It does get tough the further into the game that you get, as you are playing through a variety of different missions. You're never playing the same type of mission over and over again. You are constantly moving from one sequence to the next, and while most of them are relatively short, but with a bit of luck and a bit of skill and a bit of patience, you will be able to complete the sequences with relative ease for the most part. But it does get more difficult into the game, especially the further into it that you proceed, more so on the second disc. But there's definitely enough here for fans of Star Wars, like, make no doubt about it. This is definitely a must play if you're a fan of the iconic films, and if you want to gain another taste on some of the side quests or elements to progress the story and the lore even further, this game will definitely give you that in abundance. It will share enough insights to kind of give you an idea of how things are portrayed. It has a great visual presence, movie quality, style, portrayal, and just great gameplay to boot. So it is one of those games that even I highly recommend that you check it out. Even though growing up for me, I did like Star Wars, but I wasn't considered the biggest fan, because when I was a kid growing up I wasn't as big into sci-fi. It was only really in later years that I started to kind of look into it a lot more and respect it for what it is. But you can't deny the presence of this game and how well it captures the whole essence and ambience of the Star Wars lore. So it does it really, really well, and I have to say it is a very, very good title. And it's funny, when you do sit down to play it, you won't just sit and play this game for a couple of moments at a time. You'll want to progress the story, and you'll find yourself before long being a half an hour or an hour into into it, wanting to get further into it, trying to progress the story, trying to figure out what happens next. It always keeps you on that edge. It always keeps you wanting to find out more. And the very fact is that you have some level of control over the playing field makes it even more of an interactive approach that definitely will keep you engaged for a lengthy period of time. So for those reasons alone, I do highly recommend that you try out this game. If you haven't played it already, or if you're a fan of the series, or if you've played it before, you need to go back and experience this in all its glory. And it's just interesting in general just to go back to learn and to understand the early concepts behind many of these unique games that were released on these early 32-bit systems, as not all of them were confined to just 3D or 2D graphics. You had games like this here that were trying to be something different and something unique, that would present something in a way that followed on from original franchises, but again tried to be original in their own way. So this does do that quite well. But if you are a Star Wars fan, again, I would love to know your thoughts of Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 and what you think of it overall. Are you a fan of this game, and are you a fan of the franchise? Or what is your favourite Star Wars game that's been made on the PlayStation overall? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future content. And if you would like to see more videos around other unique and quirky movie style games like this that were also released on the PlayStation, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.